Listen, in Titus 3, verse 5, it says, He saved us not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according to His own mercy, by the washing of regeneration and renewal of the Holy Spirit. Jump down to verse 7, and it says, so that being justified by His grace, we might become heirs. I'm not exactly sure how you refute this, but there are religions that do. There are faith bases that claim that you must do things in order to be saved and in order to maintain your own salvation. Christians, that is a burden that you cannot bear. It's literally impossible to earn your way into heaven. It's impossible to keep yourself and maintain your own salvation. As dear Bodhi Vakum says, if you believe that you can lose your salvation and you haven't, that's a whole lot of arrogance, right? So again, I don't know how you refute this information here, coming straight from Paul to Titus, from the Lord to us here in verse 5. He saved us, not because of our works, not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according to His own mercy. We're saved by Christ alone, ladies and gents, and it's important that you remember that. If you're carrying around the burden of maintaining your own salvation and thinking that there's stuff that you must do in order to be saved, in order to get the job done, I think that you're going to find yourself struggling and not being joyful in this good news your whole life. Now, don't get me wrong, if you continue to read, especially this book of Titus and the rest of the New Testament, you know that we are saved by His grace alone, and that's where our salvation comes from. But we are intended for good works. That is the outpouring of what happens because we have been saved. I heard this example the other day, and it's an example, and I forget where I heard it, unfortunately, or I give them credit. But it's an example I want to pass on to you. If I meet you face to face, I'm going to know you're human, right? And I'm going to see that you're human. I might be able to touch you and hear you talk. And those things are traits of the fact that you're human. But that's not what makes you human, right? You were made human by your Creator, and that's a process that you really didn't play a part in. It just happened to you. And then because it happened, because you were created as a human, you have these other things that you're able to do. Now I'm able to see you and hear you and touch you, and you're able to move about and perform these other things. These are symptoms of the fact that you are human. So don't be mistaken, folks. This is something that I try to focus on often when it comes to the gospel. And remembering what the gospel is, because you can make it through your whole life and think that your works and the things that you do, and you have to make it to communion and you have to go to church a certain amount of times in order to maintain your salvation. That's just a lie. Unfortunately, not only is that a lie, but as we read through the book of Galatians, we learn that that's not a gospel. If you add anything to the gospel, that's not a true gospel, and it can't save you. So I encourage you to go back and read through these things. Make sure you're paying very close attention to these words just in black and white. He saved us. He saved us. Not because of our works, not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according to His own mercy.